Hello everyone, Dr. John Bartemus here today to continue our series on chiropractic and posture and health. Now, I frequently get asked questions, how does chiropractic help with asthma? Or, Doc, you said that chiropractic can help with digestion or with heart disease. How does that work? Well, behind me on the wall here are charts that have been developed by colleagues of mine synthesizing the research into a picture format to show exactly how chiropractic affects hormone function and immune function, etc., to impact various diseases like cancer, asthma, things of that nature. So you can just memorize those if you want and get your answer. But today I'd like to walk you through a picture graph to show you exactly how chiropractic can help with things other than neck and back pain, but actual disease processes. Now, a couple weeks ago, we covered a study called Cerebral Metabolic Changes in Men After Chiropractic Care for Neck Pain. And what we talked about there is how they studied that the chiropractic adjustment didn't just resolve the neck pain for the men, but they actually had functional changes in their brain and in their body function other than pain relief. So we're going to walk through that using that study again today. Now, any sort of pain process, disease process, anything we face health-wise fundamentally begins with inflammation. And that inflammation is started by some stressor, whether it's a physical stress like trauma, a fall, poor posture. That is physical trauma. It could be chemical stress, which is poor nutrition, medications, vaccines, anything that isn't good for your body, causing a chemical stress for the body to have to detoxify it and get rid of it, alcohol, smoking. And emotional stress is also one. So you're in an abusive relationship, or you have unhealthy internal dialogue, or you are caring for a loved one that's dying. Those are all stressors, and all stress in the body eventually results in inflammation. So the first step here on our little graph is going to be inflammation. Now, inflammation needs to be healed. And when there's inflammation of joints in the body, so of the spine or of extremities, when inflammation is healed or resolved, fibrosis occurs. And what fibrosis basically means a decrease in movement or a loss of range of motion. So you have scar tissue built up, and if you don't get in there and adjust it, that scar tissue is going to hold those joints in place and not allow them to move and get the full range of motion that your body is used to. Now, why is that bad? Because range of motion and movement is a major stimuli to the brain, and that movement is a major nutrient to the brain. Remember, again, a couple episodes ago we went through that posture poster and talked about Nobel Prize winner Roger Sperry saying 90% of nutritive stimulation comes from movement, and movement feeds the brain. So inflammation to fibrosis, which leads to decreased range of motion if you don't get chiropractic care. That decreased range of motion means there's less information being fed to the brain, so the brain has less information to help it run the body. Okay? Well, part of the brain's responsibility is to run your sympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight system. It's your stress system. Okay? So if that gets out of control, if the brain isn't running that properly and keeping a tight ship with it, then that can lead to disease, because the sympathetic nervous system controls your immune system and your stress hormones. Okay? So do you think you need your immune system to help you prevent disease like cancer? Absolutely. So if you lack range of motion, you have increased function of your stress system, your fight or flight system, which downregulates your immune system. Okay, so you're worse at fighting off bacteria and viruses. You get sick more. Cancer is not fought off as well with the decreased immune system. And also you have increased stress hormones. Well, those increased stress hormones are catabolic. They cause body breakdown. Okay? So that can lead to a whole range of disease from breakdown. So inflammation causes fibrosis or loss of range of motion. Joints aren't moving the way they should. They're not feeding that mechanoreceptive information to the brain. The brain isn't running your autonomic immunity properly. Stress hormones get out of whack, leading to disease. Some that can be caused, the stress hormones, you want to think about cortisol, which deposits fat around the waist. You want to think about insulin and insulin resistance, which leads to diabetes and obesity. You can also think about catecholamines like epinephrine or adrenaline. When that's out of whack, that can be ADHD, erectile dysfunction, allergies, asthma, things of that nature. Also, when the sympathetic nervous system is jacked up, running too much, that also controls your blood vessel. This circle here is a blood vessel. Sympathetics control the diameter of your blood vessels, so the ability of your blood vessels to constrict and to dilate. Now, what's carried in your blood? Oxygen, which every tissue and cell in your body needs to survive, and glucose, or sugar, which every cell in your body needs to survive. Now, if you're not oxygenating the tissues, cancer loves tissues that aren't getting oxygen. So that's an issue. If you're not producing glucose, then you're not producing ATP. And ATP is the scientific name for the energy that our bodies use, particularly in our brains. So if our brains aren't producing enough ATP, then they're very inefficient in running the rest of our body, so that makes us susceptible for sickness and disease. But also what we're finding in Alzheimer's is a major problem of not being able to produce enough ATP. Alzheimer's is a lack of energy in the brain. So it all started back with that initial stressor, whether it was physical, chemical, or emotional stress causing inflammation. The inflammation is resolved by our body, but leaves in its wake scar tissue, adhesions, fibrosis, which causes a lack of range of motion. Range of motion is important because it feeds the brain to help the brain run the body, because the brain knows where you are in space. The brain uses that nutrition from the range of motion to help feed the nerves, feed the organs at the end. So loss of range of motion means loss of control of sympathetics, or increased sympathetic tone, increased fight or flight, which increases the stress response, decreases immune function, making you susceptible, and also causes vasoconstriction, so that decreases the amount of oxygen getting to the tissues and the amount of sugar getting to the tissues, including the brain, which needs ATP to function. Long term, that can lead to Alzheimer's. So I've shown you the connection of how chiropractic plays a role in diabetes, plays a role in cancer, plays a role in Alzheimer's, plays a role in the flu, okay, and preventing things like that. So what happens? How does chiropractic play the role? The last piece is we introduce that chiropractic adjustment. That chiropractic adjustment introduces movement to the system, and movement is what the brain needs to run everything properly. So we give you that adjustment, which increases movement. That increased movement helps the brain regulate that fight or flight system, or inhibit an overactive sympathetic system, which inhibiting that system will boost the immune system back up, helping you fight sickness. It will normalize stress hormones, so taking them from too high to normal or healthy levels. And then it also will cause dilation of the blood vessels through sympathetic control to deliver more oxygen to the tissues to help you fight cancer, to develop more glucose to the tissues and to the brain to help you produce more ATP and prevent Alzheimer's, prevent dementia, and keep you sharp, focused, and concentrating all day long. So this is a landmark study done by medical doctors and PhDs proving what chiropractors do on a daily basis. I'm Dr. John Bartemus, and I'm here to teach you how chiropractic is more than back pain, more than neck pain. It's here as a strategy to prevent chronic diseases that are crippling our nation, both financially and from a health standpoint. Call today to begin your cancer-killing care. I'm Dr. John Bartemus. Have a great day.